First tonight, the doors at Seaquest in Roseville are closed now for good.
But days later, animals and fish are still inside. It's raising a lot of questions about the animals' care and well-being.
The sudden shutdown of the shopping mall aquarium comes after our year-long investigation exposed repeated incidents putting animals and the public in danger.
And the biggest question of them all, what will happen to the animals now?
Had an email sent to us by a member of the AZA, or Association of Zoos and Aquariums, who was really trying to find partners throughout the Twin Cities areas to help support the shutdown of a local facility. It was coming quickly, it was coming imminently, and there was a lot of animals that were in need of rehoming. They originally had sent us a list of animals totaling nearly 1,400 individual animals. My initial reaction was, this is going to be quite the undertaking.
An integral part of the work that we do at the Minnesota Zoo and zoos and aquariums around the country is helping animals that need a home, whether that's an injured animal that has been confiscated, whatever it might be.
You guys want to get started on clinics, and I'll call Kurt and see how things are looking at Seaquest.
We provide them with care, and then we can either release them back to the wild, bring them into our own habitats, or share them with other zoos and aquariums. We knew that we had a responsibility to help out with this, coordinate distributing those animals to other institutions.
We are unloading all our animals that we just picked up at Seaquest after a blizzard. So we're trying to do it kind of quickly because it's cold out, and these are all warm weather animals. This rescue is unique because we do not typically take in so many animals of so many different types at one time.
We were able to move out about 75 to 100 marine fish, as well as some of the larger mammals that were at that facility.
He's got skill down there.
Sugar gliders. To get all of this in one day is a lot.
All right, kids. What that means is all hands on deck. All the staff are partaking in both the setup and the care of the animals as they come in. Good. Where are we? But also making sure that their animal health is evaluated.
So on the back of the neck here, you can see this is the swelling that we're concerned about. What we're going to be evaluating for would be an infection, so an abscess, or some sort of cancerous process. We'll try and get some blood first from his tail, and then we'll give him a little bit of a break, do the rest of our exam.
There's likely no medical history or more medical records for a large majority of these animals. So when we get these animals in, we're pretty much starting from scratch.
Hello, little friend. Here's your cute little face.
What makes it an increased level of workload for the team here at the Minnesota Zoo is that we do need to do thorough exams on all the animals that come in so that we can piece together that medical history that we don't have. So that will include the x-rays, the ultrasounds, the blood work, the physical examination.
You're all right, princess.
So I'm just putting on an x-ray gown, a lead gown, so that I can stay in here while we do the x-rays. Just might keep her a little bit calmer. All right, finish up the...
Very tolerant so far.
Nice, good job. I know.
She's got eggs. Looks like at least 10. Mm-hmm.
We took in an Asian water monitor named Toothless, and we're surprised to see she had 9 very large eggs in her that looked like they'd been in her for a little bit of time based on how thick the shells were. She didn't have a place to nest at her prior facility, and so she didn't feel like she could lay those eggs, which could become a life-threatening situation. So we gave her basically a giant kiddie pool full of mulch, and the next day she laid all 9 of those eggs without medical intervention. So she was just waiting for her people to do what she needed to feel comfortable and get those eggs out of her.
Anytime you're moving almost 100 animals in a given day, there can be a lot of stress and a lot of emotion with that. And unfortunately, we saw that with one of the animals today, one of the Bennett's wallabies.
Hold on, Brady. I figured we'd go in.
Okay, stay right here.
Whoa. We're all right. We're okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
Just broke a nail. Yeah.
And unfortunately, as he was jumping around the enclosure, he did rip off one of his nails.
One just avulsed a nail.
And so we're quick to jump into action, and we're going to take a closer look at this animal today and see how that nail is going to heal.
They definitely were nervous little fellows when we got them, and if you go back and look at the records we have from their prior facility, it looks like they'd had some kind of nervous episodes there too, where maybe they'd gotten out of their enclosure and gotten spooked and run around. And unfortunately, both had signs that they were experiencing capture myopathy, where if they get stressed and chased, they can actually have muscle fiber breakdown that leads to kidney injury, heart injuries, and potentially even death. He definitely was critical. We were concerned at one point that he was going to lose his leg. The injury was so severe.
Heart rate's about 90, which is matching machine.
He had to have an emergency surgery where we were able to support him do some intensive wound care, treat the compartment syndrome.
Holy moly, that's a huge jump. It doesn't look arterial.
Pressure advantage?
Yeah. It must have been.
Can you grab that down there?
I think it would have been very easy to lose him if he did not have the level of care that we were able to provide here. It's always great to see that knowledge and skill come to bear in some of these more complicated cases to be able to nurse them through.
Is your eye stain?
Because we are accredited by AZA, by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, there are very specific guidelines that we follow about the way that we care for our animals.
Hi, buddy. Let's want a little bite. Eggplant is his favorite. Hi, handsome. Nice work, buddy.
We strive to provide a very, very high level of care. And that level of care is really part of what sets AZA institutions apart from the broader world of captive animal management.
Hi.
Wallabies, sloths, and all of the animals that we had gotten in that were rescued will go through a quarantine process with animal health. Basically, it's just an environment to be able to make sure they're happy, healthy, make sure everything's okay. Once they're cleared of quarantine, we can then move into the husbandry aspect where the teams come in, they actually start working with the animals and they relationship build. They build that trust. Once you gain that and you can fulfill kind of that relationship, you can start moving forward with things like training, enrichment, things that stimulate their lives here at a zoo setting.
The porcupines, their transition from Seaquest to the Minnesota Zoo has been going pretty well, and we even started working with them during that quarantine process, and that was, again, some relationship building. We're gonna go ahead and just hand feed them, make sure they're nice and calm around us. We're gonna start having them understand what this clicker means, which typically means that they've done the correct task that we wanna see, and then also that there's some kind of reinforcement or food or treats coming for them.
Sloths are very particular creatures. So establishing a new routine was really important right away. The way they were cared for at Seaquest was people did a lot of feeding. They had public feeding sessions, so they were really used to getting hand-fed every 2 hours. So that was a big transition for us because that's not generally the way that we would care for our animals. So we have found that to get them eating really well, that was one of the most important things. That's been a great way for us to start to really, grow that bond and that trusting relationship that, you need to have with an animal that you're caring for.
Hi, buddy, here. Hey, big guy. How about you? Do you want some snacks? All right. Good stuff, huh?
After the initial transport, the wallabies have been settling in really well. They are participating in their own training with our hospital staff, but then also our animal care staff. They're really starting to build those relationships with the team members that are here on site. They are incredibly comfortable around people.
So Cisco had a little bit of a rough start when he first came to us here at the Minnesota Zoo, just trying to help get him back to 100%. Instead of forcing ourselves upon them, we gave them the opportunity to come to us. And then that way you could see that they actually wanted human interaction. They ended up eating more of their diet. They ended up taking more different types of enrichment from us because it was offered from a human. Making sure that we're giving him daily medications and treatments to be able to help facilitate that regrowth of the skin and making sure that that toe remains healthy, because being a macropod, that toe is a lot of their balance, and making sure that they have strength in their legs to be able to have that upper body, obviously, movement, because those little arms kind of don't do much. It's all lower body strength that they use. So we're about 4.5 months out from the initial rescue from Seaquest, looking at animals initially seeing their habitats for the first time. Some animals went into our ambassador program. Other animals are acclimating to their new homes nicely. Today, the wallabies just got into their new home. It's been a really neat transition to see every single step of the process. In comparison to where the wallabies were at Seaquest, basically we were looking at kind of a couple of feet area where they could maybe turn around and walk about 8 feet and then turn around again and do the same thing. This space is very plentiful. They can have sand, they can have mulch, they even get water, which they've never seen before. So it's probably like a very, very interesting dynamic for them, having kind of the noise too. Really awesome to see both of them thriving and using the legs the way they should and having that natural behavior. We saw them running, we saw them playing, and which is really great considering that in the beginning we really didn't know how that leg would heal. So it's really awesome to see what they're doing on habitat today.
We're really excited to be able to give these animals a second chance at life, a new home. Our staff are incredibly passionate about these animals. We hope that our guests become incredibly passionate about these animals, and we're really excited for that future and seeing these animals thrive.
We're able to help the animals while also helping fulfill our mission at the zoo and educate the public on all the great work and the wildlife that we care for.
I think the thing that would surprise a lot of people to know is that many of the animals that we have in our care here at the Minnesota Zoo actually come from rescues. But a situation like this, of this scale, is something that you just can't plan.
Something like this is a huge disruption. We have an incredible expertise on our team to be able to jump in and kind of coordinate these tasks relatively easily, but it still takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort.
Every single facet of it, whether it's medical, whether it's staffing time, whether it's even resources, definitely takes a big toll and a burden on the Minnesota Zoo taking on that. It could be upwards to tens of thousands of dollars that were spent on rescuing these animals.
That is a role that our donors can play, is helping to build that base so that when something comes up that we need to respond to, we can respond effectively.
This process has been incredibly successful. We were able to work with our partners to relocate nearly 1,400 animals, 128 of which came here to the Minnesota Zoo. So that was already a success.
It was a huge effort, but everybody did it professionally, uncomplainingly, generously, and I'm really proud of our team.